Welcome to the Carl Jackson Show. Kamala Harris is having a bad couple of weeks. I think the last couple of weeks have been so bad for Kamala Harris, I believe that it could cost her the election. I'm not sure that the left could pull off an October surprise against Donald Trump, because I think their October surprises started with the Russia collusion hoax. But things don't seem to be getting better for Kamala Harris whatsoever. And now I want to add to that. I want to add my own October surprise. Actually, not mine, but Jim Thompson of redstate.com. Jim, listen, I was reading your column. Your headline got my attention right away. Kamala Harris got into law school via a program she did not qualify for. So I want to talk about this, and I am so glad that you've written it. You're formerly with the Los Angeles Times. So let me just ask you, Jim, real quick, if you can opine on this big news. The Los Angeles Times has decided to remain neutral in this race. They've decided to endorse neither candidate. This is the first time that they have not endorsed a candidate since 2008. Your quick take on that?
Yeah, I'm not actually surprised. I think that it's based on who the owner is. He is more leaning to the middle, maybe to the right. And I think, this is just a guess, but I think that he put his foot down and said, look, I don't agree with this. You guys have editorial control, but no, we're not going to endorse anybody. It is shocking, but yeah, I think he put his foot down and said no.
When was it you were formerly with the Los Angeles Times? So how long has it been since you've been with the Los Angeles Times?
About 3 years. I was doing a sports cartoon for the LA Times. Before that, I was doing a sports cartoon for the Los Angeles Daily News and Orange County Register. They have a parent company that has a bunch of newspapers. But yeah, it's been about 3 years. I had a run. Then 2020 happened, and they kind of lost editorial control. My politics really didn't match, so I stopped doing it.
Man,
it was a shame,
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, they're lost. They're lost for sure.
But thank you, sir.
But listen, definitely our gain in the conservative movement. Again, getting back to this article that you penned for redstate.com, and encourage everyone to check it out. This will be posted for all of my listeners at the Carl Jackson Show, all things social media at the Carl Jackson Show, but also we'll post it out on X and all things social media. But Kamala Harris graduated from Howard University, you're right, without honors. That's important. Harris then applied to law school. She was admitted to Hastings School of Law at the University of California. Hastings is considered a good law school, you write, but not elite. It ranks 80th of America's ABA schools. Take it from there, if you will, Jim.
Yeah, Hastings is a good school. Again, I'm repeating what you said and what I wrote, is that Hastings is a good school, but it's not elite. So they have people submit their applications, got tons, thousands, in fact, who submit it, and they accept about half of them. About a third of those applications are actually accepted. So once she is, in that pile of accepted, they call her and say, hey, Kamala, we'd like you to apply based on what's called an LEOP. It's the Legal Education Opportunity Program. It's actually for people who are disadvantaged. So either socially or economically or both. And she really didn't fit because she's the daughter of two professors, and her mother, in fact, was taken aback by a Head Start teacher who said, hey, I was really surprised to learn that Kamala is
this is
from the bad side of Oakland. And she's no, we're actually privileged. I am a PhD, so is my ex-husband. She comes from money.
Goodness.
They traveled the world. The summary of that is that she didn't fit into this program. She should have just applied to a law school that she was qualified for. Hastings probably didn't fit her wheelhouse, and she got in. But it was based on something that she really didn't deserve. Not surprising because she's got a history of that.
Well, Jim, let's do this. Let's go back and fill in some of the gaps for the listeners, because I really think it's important for them to absorb basically everything that you've written in this particular article. And I do encourage you to read the article for yourself. Again, it is titled, it's on redstate.com. Kamala Harris got into law school via a program that she didn't qualify for. And basically, Jim has given you the synopsis, if you will, but I just want to get into a little bit more of the detail. Going back to Hastings again, you mentioned the fact that half of the people there are accepted, but only a third of them actually enroll. And that's because Hastings itself, in and of itself, is a backup law school. Now, I've not gone to college. I've not gone to law school except a couple of years of junior college. So I'm not knocking a thing. It's not like I've been. But if she's definitely not this elite when it comes to academia. You also write that she has an unimpressive academic record. She wasn't an honor student at Howard. There's no information on her what Harris scored on her LSAT. But you say that you do know she didn't pass the bar on the first try. 80% of her classmates did. So the question becomes, how did she get in, this run-of-the-mill student, get in to this Hastings Law School? And that's what you were sharing with us. She lied. She simply lied.
She fudged. Yeah.
And so this legal education opportunity program, this is just basically affirmative action. Am I right?
Yeah, it is. And, California changed the law. You can't use affirmative action, but she took advantage of that. And, something else that I put in the article that kind of bothers me is that she was raised by her Indian mom. Her dad was pretty absent from her life because she lived in Montreal, went to high school in Montreal, and she went to Howard, the traditionally Black school, but she really didn't embrace being Black until she got to Hastings, and then she became president of the Black Students Association, and really took to heart that her if you the term, her Blackness. She became Black, and I was just, when I learned about this, I was just super offended, not because she was from a family of two professors and from a money background, but she just seems to take advantage of everybody and everything. She games the system. Right. She does.
And whose place did she take? I mean, Jim, let me read what you wrote here, because you've written it so well. You say Harris was immersed in Indian culture growing up in Montreal. Her family traveled the world. You mentioned that earlier. Her mother was taken aback when a Head Start teacher was, quote unquote, shocked that Harris wasn't from the poor side of Oakland. Harris's mother, which means she lied. Harris's mother told him that Kamala was the daughter of privilege. Harris didn't fit into the intended target graphic that LEOP, and again, that's the affirmative action program, was designed for, but she fully took advantage of her ethnic heritage, at least one side of it. Once admitted under the program, Harris joined the Black Law Students Association. Raised by her Indian mother, Harris found more currency. I love that. In being Black. So that's essentially what she did. This is a woman that had identified, even throughout college, even going through Howard University, as an Indian. But when she found it more advantageous to identify as Black, that's exactly what she did. And that's how she was able to get into this law school.
Right. And the thing that really bothers me is that, the system, LEOP, is designed to find that core group of people that are disadvantaged and help them get a legal education.
Sure.
I have no problems with that. If you grow up poor, if you're like a Clarence Thomas, and Clarence Thomas is brilliant, but he doesn't need Hastings, but they tried to mentor these people so there were more disadvantaged, not just Black, not just Indian, not just Latino, but people that are disadvantaged into the system of practicing law. She took a spot from somebody, and it's just really irritating when people take advantage of the system that's designed for somebody not like her, and she takes it. It's just not right. And it's more of what she does. She just takes advantage of the system games the system, lies about her background. It's really irritating.
We only have a minute left. Again, I'm speaking with Jim Thompson. You have to check out his column. Kamala Harris got into law school via a program she didn't qualify for at redstate.com. But just real quickly, he writes, students discovered that a bulletin board decorated by the Black Law Students Association to commemorate Black History Month had been vandalized with a racist marking, a grotesque caricature of a black man with a forbidden sign slashing his face. Harris told the Hastings newspaper that it's what we deal with all the time. Apparently, no one was ever identified for the act of racism 36 years ago. Race hoaxes weren't all the rage. But also, she wasn't that bright, and people knew that. We only have 15 seconds here, Jim. But your take.
Yeah, she wasn't that bright. In fact, one of the things that I noticed about an article written about her, nobody said she was intelligent, and one of the professors observed that she was reserved and sat in the back of the class. I don't take her very seriously.
Okay, now I'm back with my guest, Jim Thompson of redstate.com, formerly with the Los Angeles Times. And we were talking about his article about Kamala Harris, basically how she lied and cheated her way into law school by lying about her ethnicity and her upbringing. But also there's more to the story. Jim, this lady, Kamala Harris, we were speaking about this offline, just a total fake, a total fraud. And I got to say, she's just nasty. Not only did she likely cancel out someone else's position by lying her way into Hastings Law School, but she wasn't a bright person. We touched on that. You write that her professor, let me scroll up here. Although some of her fellow students talked about Harris's passion, quote unquote, none spoke of her intellect. One professor said that she was, quote, very polite and reserved demeanor, sitting to the far right of the very last row in the auditorium, listening intently, but not saying much. And then California attorney Laura Powell tracked down other information about Harris. And this is what was just, this made me so mad. I got to be honest with you, Jim. It made me mad because not only did she cheat her way into law school, but she canceled out other deserving students that perhaps should have been enrolled in Hastings. Here's what Jim writes, and then I want to get your take on it, Jim. During Harris's time at Hastings, she was, according to her resume, president of the BLSA. Now, the BLSA, remind the audience what that stands for.
It's the Black Students Association. Black Law Students Association. So it's obviously reserved for Black students, and Kamala played that card. She was brought up by her Indian mother, but she joined that law student group.
So she joins this group. She becomes the president of the Black Law Students Association. What does she do once she becomes the president, Jim?
Well, one of the things that almost certainly happened, and it's based on Laura Powell's investigation, is that she would probably sit on the board that picked the students that were allowed in the LEOP program. So they had interview processes that were obviously intended to weed out either conservatives or people that they didn't like. In fact, one of the dean at the time of Hastings, found out that they were doing that, and he interviewed these people and in essence found out that they were weeding out. One of the things that he said was one of the students told him, yeah, we didn't want like a Clarence Thomas joining Hastings. And he shut it down. It's like, no, you guys are not going to do any more interviews. You're just going to look at what's on the paper. These people that are disadvantaged, we're going to let them in, but you're not going to interview them to try to weed out conservatives. That's certainly my take. It was certainly Laura's take. And it's infuriating, but that was the process.
And this is what people need to know about Kamala Harris. This lady is a total fake. She is a total fraud. She is obsessed with power. She is a complete and utter ideologue. Do not buy this nonsense that she's in the middle or she's moderate on any issue. I mean, this lady has a record in California. She has a long history in politics. Again, she wanted to weed out conservatives. So she was using her ideological bent sitting on this board in order to say yay or nay to deserving recipients that frankly didn't grow up privileged like her, Jim.
Yeah. Now she definitely grew up privileged. In fact, these aren't my words. That's her mother. Mother said, "No, my daughter is, coming from privilege. She definitely came from privilege. Traveled the world, with her mom." If you got a second, I would like to add one thing that I was
Sure.
just shocked about.
Sure.
There's more investigation about plagiarism, and one of the things that I found out is that while she was DA, she took an article from Polaris. What they had done is that they created a character, a fiction called Kelly, and she was a victim of human trafficking. Kamala Harris took that article and actually used it as an example of somebody that she helped in her time as DA. She took it word for word, actually used the fictional Kelly is the name, and transplanted that person, that fictional character, into San Francisco. It's a fiction, and she labeled it as actual fact. The woman is a fraud.
I'm literally speechless. I talk all the time, Jim. I'm literally speechless because it makes me mad because have you come across anything in your investigations and your research of Kamala Harris? This lady just seems cold-blooded. I mean, I know her dad was a Marxist, her mother apparently a Marxist, an activist, or at least a radical leftist, but she just seems cold-blooded. What do you attribute that to?
That lying for 40 years. I think that's as simple as it gets, is that she's just used to lying, used to making stuff up. And I mean, if you watch her face in the debate with Trump, or even when she's talking to somebody, you can see that she's running through her head looking for that place card that she's going to, use. And if she can't, that she just word salads until she finds it. She's just got this, list of things that she's going to say, like, dreams and ambitions and aspirations. How many times have we heard that one? How many times it's the aspirations for dreams. It just drives me nuts. She has the same thing coming out of her mouth, and it drives me nuts. It drives a lot of people nuts. I heard a commentator a couple of days ago about this. It's like, okay, I think people are catching up to what she really is as being completely inauthentic, a fraud. And people have said, I didn't know what she was really about. I think the people are starting to catch up that she's a fraud.
Oh man, only if we had a little bit more time, but I think you're right.
Exactly.
And thank God for articles like yours, Jim, because we're going to try to stretch this puppy out and make it go a long way and make sure as many people hear about this as possible. Because not only is it disgusting that she would lie about her, and I don't care if you're rich. I don't care if it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? But if you take advantage of the system, first off, she wasn't that bright, even though she was in this program, apparently. But she lied about her economic status. She lied about her ethnicity, and she bumped somebody else out of the way. And then she gets on the board, and then she bumps more people out of the way that are I mean, that is just sick and disgusting. But that's who Kamala Harris is. That's who a lot of people are trying to vote for president. Please do not fall for this lady. She is complete, and that's a good way to put it. And I think we'll end it there. Make sure you guys check out the column. Jim Thompson, Kamala Harris got into law school via a program she didn't qualify for. Check it out on redstate.com. We'll be posting it all over social media as well. Jim, man, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate you.
All right. God bless you, man. You take care.
All right. Take care.
Hey guys, Carl Jackson here for My Pillow. A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving My Pillow with a ton of extra My Pillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you can get a standard classic My Pillow for wholesale prices. So it's just for $14.88, but it gets even better. For a limited time, they're offering their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. You can get queen size My Pillows for as low as $18.88. Upgrade to a king for just $1 more. You can get the body pillows for $29.88 and the multi-use My Pillows for just $9.88. Go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. I don't spell it like the communists, or call 800-858-0263 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever. That is insane. On top of that, receive free shipping on orders that are over $75. They have never been offered this low before. There are limited quantities at this price. So the limit is 10 items per person. Go to mypillow.com or call 800-858-0263. Don't forget to use the promo code Carl to get the standard My Pillow for only $14.88. Again, the lowest price ever.